presenting Channeling Erik's Hour of Enlightenment.
Hey guys, welcome back to our Tuesday night show. I want you to know I love you all, and of course I love my co-host, Michelle Gray, who's an awesome healer and medium, and of course my lovely Erik. I love you. Hey, Erik, I hope you helped my father-in-law, Bestafar, transition.
He sure is. He says, he goes, I love you, Mom. And he's just saying that like he was waiting. He was waiting.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
he says
apparently he had open arms for Bestafar. Yeah.
He certainly did. He says the gates were wide open and he was right there to help him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's an amazing man.
He's calling it a really great reunion.
Oh,
a really great reunion. He says there's
wonderful.
been so much to talk about.
I bet. You know, this guy is amazing. He was the mayor of the town. He was instrumental in getting hydroelectricity to the country, and he you know, the prime minister wrote in the newspapers thanking him for all his service, and he got the King's Gold Medal of Honor, and he's just very special. So did he go back to? Did he meet the love of his life, who died at the age of 78, Bestemor?
Yes. Yes. Bestemor. Yes.
Yeah.
And also, was he a storyteller?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because there are a crowd with him, with all of them, and he is telling stories. He is sharing stories and food. Erik is showing me, like, there's food. So it's like Bestemor must have been a good cook or had something, because there's, like, food being made and being passed around, and it feels very, like all are welcome, but it feels so traditional. Like there's certain foods that are so traditional, and there's do they like beer? The beer, there's like beer.
He did not touch alcohol, but he liked non-alcoholic beer.
Okay, because it's that color, right? But it looks like it's in like a it's not a typical glass. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a special looking glass, not a mug.
What?
But it's got like a little crust on the front of it.
Oh, okay, I can believe that. But he likes this non-alcoholic beer for sure. And he's not limping anymore for the polio he contracted at the age of 17. So that must feel good. Anyway.
And his words are that he is free. He's free.
Oh. Wonderful.
Very proud.
All right. I hope he feels the love that we're sending his way, and we're going to Norway Saturday and staying throughout for 9 days. It's going to be so hard to be away that long. The work, but family needs us there. So
and you'll feel him too, because he's with the family. You'll feel him and Erik.
Yeah, I feel like I'm taking it the worst because you know, he was a father I should have had. You know, I mean, my father was so hideously horrible, and I grieved when I first got to know him that fathers aren't supposed to be like my father. So you know, but that'll be okay eventually. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about our vibration is shifting and our consciousness is expanding. But Michelle, if you could, after we're finished with this, if you could stay on the line at the end of the show, that'd be great, because we need to finish our conversation.
Yeah.
So we're feeling a lot of chaos. So Erik, you're going to help us understand what is happening in our lives as consciousness expands.
And, you know, we talk a lot, like Erik says, we've talked about vibration and we've talked about kind of this subject matter in different angles. But what was interesting is, like, I was talking to Erik, and this is a little bit what we were talking about before, Lisa, like, there's so much happening, you know, and for all of us. And it doesn't all have to be negative. It's just change, and change in our bodies, change in our experience. You know, there's people that are releasing a lot in the body, you know, a lot of physical energy, things are speeding up. And what Erik says is, he says the reason for all the vibrational changes, of course, is that more light's coming in, but he says it's our life force energy that's rising. So he says, when you think about, we call the Kundalini, it's like that Kundalini rising. And he says, you know, he goes, a lot of people will say we have an awakening, and then we go through our awakening, and it's this continuous kind of releasing and healing. And he goes, really, it's like an awakening within an awakening within an awakening within an awakening. So he says, it's like the Kundalini does this, you know, the life force energy comes within us, whether it's, you know, some of us it happens real fast, some of us it kind of moves slower. It doesn't matter how it does it. We're all going through this process. And so he says that, you know, our bodies, we're having experiences that are physical, we're having energetic experiences, and he says what's really happening as this life force energy is coursing through us, and he says it's like activations are taking place, which many of us already know, but he says they're happening on many different levels, and we're elevating ourselves. So he says, okay, this is really awesome. He says it is all really awesome stuff, but the reason why he really wanted to talk about it is that what's really happening to a lot of people that are listening is there are immense feelings coming with it. There are immense situations in our life. Sometimes it's a little bit chaotic, our sensitivities. He says there's many people that are becoming extremely sensitive to smells, to sounds, even sensitive to other people. He says some of us that have been able to be around people, and then all of a sudden we're really irritated by somebody, or we can no longer tolerate. He says we can no longer tolerate foods. We might start to feel like we're burning out. And he's just saying, like, the light's burning out. And then he also says there's also people that are actually burning out light bulbs. He says as the energy rises, he goes, raise your hand if you pass by a lamp or something, or you open your oven door and it goes bzz, 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 and it starts to pop out. He goes, a lot of that is that energy. He goes, it's because of that magnetic and that our electromagnetic field. So he says there's a little bit of chaos going on. The other thing too is, he says, things that are normal. He says states of exhaustion. And he says, and a lot of you might be questioning, you know, I need to go get my blood checked, and and he goes, and sure, he goes, you know, if you're concerned about that and you think something like that's going on, he goes, get it checked out. But do know that a lot of these changes, he goes, the sleep state is often the state where we have most of our upgrades and activations. Not always, but a lot of times we do, because he says it's a lot easier on us. But he says we can also, we naturally feel tired because we are meant to rest more. So he says if you are feeling that and you can go and lay down and take a rest and reset yourself, he goes, do that.
So is
the other thing he says, sorry, yeah?
Is this something we have to do because the energy coming in is very taxing on the physical body, and so we need more rest and perhaps a different diet and more fluids? I don't know.
It's all of those things. It's all of those things. And he says, he says, you know, think of it as we're being upgraded. He says, you know, we can't just continue to go along the way that we were all the time, because he says a lot of us are going along in ways that aren't necessarily whole and healthy for us, because we're still running programs. He goes, think of it like we're a computer. We're running programs that are outdated. And our system needs an upgrade. He goes, well, we can't have our system upgraded while we're powered on.
Mine
so he says we have to power down to upgrade.
Yeah.
Okay,
interesting.
So he also said, let's couple this with the opposite end of things too. He says, what about you might be experiencing like waking up a lot during the night, be having experiences where you're not able to sleep at nighttime. And he says, and that's part of the body trying to regulate itself and trying to regulate this energy. He goes, the other thing is too, your field, your auric field, your feelers are reaching out a little bit further. He goes, so are you reaching into somebody else? Are you thinking about things? He goes, because there's a mental part to this too, but are you feeling spirit? Are your guides that are always there? He goes, but are you noticing them more? So are you waking up and there's this sense of urgency, like he says a lot of people waking up to write things down at night, getting ideas. And he goes, or you could just be waking up and looking at the clock all night long too. But he says this is not completely abnormal.
Well, let me ask you a real quick question, Erik. Because for some reason, for years and years and years and years, at around between 4 and 5 o'clock, I hear noises. It sounds like they're coming from the radio, but they're not. It's like the 30s voice, the 40s voice is like, it's a baby, right? That kind of weird stuff. But also, my father-in-law died at 4 o'clock in the morning. Is the veil thinner? I mean, what's going on with 4-ish o'clock Central Time, if anything?
He says that we call that, a lot of us, human terms, he says we call that the God hour. And he says there is a time when, he says, a lot of us are in that in-between state. And he says there's like a peak of energy that has been quietened down. And he says that a lot of us are coming back into the body, engaging. So it's in that in-between state. So many people will wake up at that point and still, even though they might be awake and looking around, the body is quiet. We're not fully engaged into the body. So a lot of times we will hear into other dimensions. We can sometimes see things. He goes, that is the best time to be able to practice astral traveling. He goes, if you're waking up around 4 o'clock in the morning, he goes, if you can avoid not getting up and going pee, he goes, try and stay in bed and close your eyes and practice leaving your body. He goes, because the truth is you've just come back in. He goes, you've just popped back in and you're still in that really easy state to slip back out. He goes, the same goes for a lot of people that will pass around that time because it's like a period of disengagement. And so when we're untethering ourselves from the body, and he's saying, and specifically with Bestafar, it was he was already like detaching. So, he was pretty much like he was already moved. Yeah. So it was already happening. So that just happened to be the time.
So 4 o'clock Central Time, right? But it could be whatever the time zone is at that time all over the world, right? It's not 4 o'clock a.m. everywhere.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
That's right.
Sorry.
That's right. And he says because, time is not really linear, like everything's happening at the same time. So whatever that time is for you.
Okay.
The other thing that he's also saying is that a lot of us are walking around in this almost like waking dream state. Like, and maybe not every day, all day, but it's like getting these little bouts of feeling like we're observing our life, like we're kind of on the outside looking in. And I know exactly what he's talking about with this, and I've had this before. And it's so weird and hard to explain to anybody, but it's a very it's got a bit of a peaceful sense to it, but at the same time, it's a very detached feeling as well. So he says, part of that is because our consciousness is shifting. So we're shifting into different states. So he says that's not completely abnormal. He said that's also a really great time to do journaling when we're feeling in that state.
Wow,
that would be a great time to also practice automatic writing.
Oh, because you don't have your ego. You're not so grounded that you're not like, the ego's not interfering. It's almost like you're a reporter. Very detached. It's like, taking notes. Okay, that's cool. That's very cool.
And he says, like, take notes because a lot of us are also, like our intuitive abilities are really cranking up at that time. A lot of us are also waking up and experiencing like a day of really strong intuitive ability. And then we might not sense it so much the next day. But he says this is kind of like it's like a stepping in, stepping out, stepping in, stepping out. So it doesn't all happen all at once because we're not linear. And he says, so it's like this process of moving more in, more out. And he says, or we could say side to side. It's vibrational shifting. He said, although we say raising vibration, so we think in our heads that it's raising up, going up. But he goes, really, it's this dance of side to side, in and out, up and down, side. He says, it's like a dance. He's showing me like that box on the ground, like doing around the square, like going in and out and side to side.
Yeah, right. Oh my God, I'm getting dizzy just thinking about that.
I know. He also said that some of the experiences that we're having, he's showing me the masculine and feminine, and he says, so it's bringing in that energy, and he says, so our masculine energy is connected more to grounding, the grounding energy. And he says the feminine energy is more the essence of spirit. He says that has many different layers to it as well. And he says now with this and also with the intuitive abilities and what he was talking about with kind of being in that that being awake and in that state of mind, he says the other thing that's happening is that many of us are, and he says, and you may be able to understand this when we say it, because it's almost hard to put it into words, but he says it's experiencing knowing things. So you're observing, and you might see something. You might hear somebody say something. You might watch something take place, and all of a sudden you understand how that happened, where it came from, why they're doing it, where it's going. It's like you're getting all of this information about something that is so hard to verbalize it, but you're getting it. And he says a way to kind of think about it, if you haven't experienced that, is he says, think about somebody giving you a banana split. And you have that banana split in your hands, and you look at it, and you are visualizing and getting the information of where did that bunch of bananas originate from, and who picked that banana off, and this chocolate syrup, what did the box look like that the chocolate syrup came out of, and you can see somebody pouring it. And so he says it's almost like you're dissecting the layers of it and understanding where it came from, but you may not have the ability out of your mouth to express that all at once. Important, he goes, if you can carry a little pad of paper and a pencil together, because these are little downloads. And these are how little downloads of information will feel as they're coming in.
Erik, when you started talking about feminine energy, I got the word Atlantis in my mind. Is there something behind that? Because, for some reason I've been, I found out later that I had some sort of, Erik and I had, and other family members had, roots in Atlantis, but one of our boats we named Atlantis. I named it Atlantis Scalar. I've been fascinated by that word, that thing. So does that have anything to do with, why when you started mentioning about femininity?
Yes.
How so?
He says yes. And he also says that he goes, Mom, you're also going to get more downloads about that and more information, because you're going to start coming up with some questions and questioning some more things. And he says, and we're going to discover more of that together. And see a little, he's saying like the story behind the story, get a little more information. But he said that he's saying that there's a new layer, and he says it does not matter where you are in your journey. So it doesn't matter how much healing you've done or how much healing you've not done. Everybody is discovering a new layer. So everybody is. He says your system is being upgraded. And this is what he said to me yesterday, which I thought was really neat, is he says the system's being upgraded, and he goes, you are your vehicle. And he says, and you've been running on regular gas. And then you're bumping yourself up to putting Supreme in your gas tank. And now you're bumping that up and getting ultra. So he says, why? Because your system is running more efficient. You're running much more efficient and clearer and lighter. And he says, he's saying, he goes, your high performance vehicle. He goes, we're putting the lift kit in. We're putting on the lift kit. So we're putting on all the action.
My God. That is really interesting you say that, because Erik used to make a little money, not very much. Actually, he usually did it for free, putting lift kits on the cars and trucks of his friends.
Oh, cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah, he's like doing it all up. And he says, in our body, he really likes I like to trying to help us understand this, but he says body. So as we're doing these upgrades, he's like, your body, think of yourself as you've been carrying around all of these carry-on bags everywhere you're going. And he says you've got all these bags attached to you with all of these different things in them. He goes, like, you're carrying the needs of other people. You're carrying the belief systems that maybe are completely outdated and they're not really serving you anymore. Maybe you're carrying a decision that you're kind of going back and forth over, and you might feel like, okay, I know what the right decision is, but I know it's going to be really hard to do that, so I'm putting it off. So think of all of these different carry-on bags that you have, but now you're being told there's this really amazing destination that you're about to go to, and you're getting this free ticket to go there. You've done the work now. You're being given this ticket, but you can only take one bag with you. So he says, so really think about, what am I carrying? What bags am I carrying that I don't need anymore?
Yeah.
He says, because when we can let them go, when we can choose to, what happens is, sometimes the universal energy and the experience that we have will push us into these corners to let go what's no longer good for us. But when we can recognize it first, when we can kind of get there and say, okay, like, I see this, I know this is good for me. And he goes, and that's self-love, when we can make decisions and do things that are good for us. That's really going to help us get to that destination. But he says it's not that you won't get to the destination no matter how you go through it.
Exactly.
But can you make it easier?
Yeah,
because
all
you can
of us
make it easier.
All of us are going to make it to the end point, to the destination.
Right.
Some of us will take the scenic route, some of us won't. But, one thing I want to ask is, when is a matriarchal society going to come back? I mean, we were once a matriarchal society, and then we became a patriarchal. And I'm wondering if the matriarchal society is the answer, or one of the answers, to quelling the chaos that we are seeing now. And
he said yes.
Maybe part of the Aquarius age.
It is. It is. He says there's also, so he says the masculine energy, the patriarch energy it's present in a new way. He says consider it softer. But
good.
Yes, led in the matriarchal energy, that it is leading in that way, because it's, he says it's a very grounded and strong feminine energy. The way that we would see the feminine energy in the past didn't come forward with the same, and he says, not in all ways, but he says a lot of our earthly experiences in the last, he says really the last 1,000 years,
wow,
he says has been a much heavier experience, but he says this is a very grounded, strong, nurturing, and he calls it guidance energy, leadership energy. And that's what we're moving into. And he says when we look specifically at our political system and we look at our education, he says this is the energy that will come in to do the cleanup. He goes, this is the energy that is sitting underneath, waiting to be able to step in for leadership. He goes, and this is where we really see the shining come through, because he says we're not going for a society or trying to build a society that is everybody, he says, is like shoulder to shoulder and he's like singing Kumbaya and everything's calm and cool. He goes, because we're still having this human experience where there's going to be differences, but it's about leadership. It's about hearing each other. It's about making decisions that are best for the collective. So he says this is a real strong, nurturing leadership.
And that sounds maternal, taking care of the collective.
Yeah.
The patriarchal aspect, the masculinity, I think that was important. That was important to the prior age before Aquarius. Can't remember what it is. That we had to have contrast consciousness, right? We had to learn by contrast. That's part of the human experience. The survival of the fittest. Okay, so survival through competition. But now, moving into the age of Aquarius, we need the matriarchal, the feminine, so that we can have the unity consciousness that lets survive through cooperation and love and uniting and collaboration. Is there any truth to that?
Right. Yes, Erik says yes, and he's also been telling me, as you were talking, he says, tell my mom, he goes, to look at her skills as a mother to match to that energy. Because he says, Mom, if you look at the skills that you brought to our family as a mother and how you guided us, because he says that strength, teaching us to be able to stand for ourselves, teaching us to be able to make decisions for ourselves with nurturing.
Yeah, I did that.
Comfort. He goes, that's the energy.
But, I believed in logical consequences, not yelling or anything like that. Not that I've never yelled at my kids, but it was really important to me to shower them with love, but make them responsible for their actions. And I was to the point of being sappy, where my kids, you come on and sit in my lap, that kind of thing. Even when they were teenagers, it did not go over well. I'm just here to tell you. But
what Erik's saying is, he says, Mom, he goes, look at each one of us. Each one of us are well-rounded and successful. True. Each one of us are standing in our purpose.
Right, and one of the things is y'all were also different, which means, Papa and I allowed you guys to grow in your own way and to find your own way. Now, one thing I want to ask, and I'm being very selfish this year, I don't know why, but when I was dying in the tundra near death, apparently I was taken up by tall whites into their ship and downloaded information, or they uploaded it to me. Adrian, the tall white spokesman, being one of them. What was I given? Because things did seem to change. There was a lapse of time there in that 17 hours that I couldn't account for.
Well, Erik says it was an upgrade. So he says there was an upgrade. He says there was he says it was he's calling it like an activation.
Okay.
That had taken place, because he also said that it was right after that where everything started to really shift. Because he goes, if you go directly to, there was an extreme need within you to get on with service. Further than what you were doing, it was
that makes sense. That's when I started Atlantic Scalar, the first hope to save the life, and so forth, so good, of one of my relatives. And then, interesting. All right, that's cool. Anything else you want to say before we take calls? I mean, you can go on for another 15 minutes.
Erik is just saying, he says, honestly, he says, couple things he just says, like checking in with your energy every day. He says, have some kind of daily practice. He goes, like, whether you are checking in on your energy, whether you're journaling, whether you're walking in nature, walking your dog. He goes, it's something, have something that you're connecting to your divine nature. He says, don't make it about rules. And here's one other thing he wants to leave us with is he says, guys, he goes, remember that at this time, he says, just as much as we are starting new cycles, remember that cycles are completing. and they're completing for everyone, which means that various others are at various states of their own cycles ending, so at different crossroads in their life. And he says, and when you're completing cycles, you're coming up against completing, say, unhealthy behaviors, unhealthy decisions. And he says, and a lot of these things may have been very heavy, like marked in their past and in past lives. So he says, have compassion and really think about that as you're walking through the day. And you may not know what somebody's up against and what they're experiencing and what they understand and what they don't understand. And he says, you may not be able to appreciate this in everyone. You may get frustrated. And he goes, and that's okay. He goes, don't be hard on yourself. But if you can do anything, at least try to tap into the gratitude for looking at the fact that we are all courageous in being able to step into this and play this role to do this. He goes, because it's not easy. He says, we often talk about a lot of cool and interesting stuff to it, and it is, but it's not all easy too. So he says, just remember that, guys, not to be hard on yourself, but try not to be hard on other people as well.
Exactly. Oh. All right, that sounds awesome. All right, you ready to take callers, babe?
He says, absolutely, Ma.
All right, one thing I want to say that, guys, I have to go to Norway for my father-in-law's services. So there will be no show next Tuesday. I'm sorry. Yeah. But I won't be here, so. Okay. All right. I want to ask something for somebody who is very dear to me first.
Okay.
Tracy P., okay? She has, she did the tune-up in November 21st, which is included everything that we have now except for the past life bleed-through block, okay? Now, she has high lipids, high cholesterol and that, and hypertension. I want her to have the least possible to get her to where she needs to go. Does she need the tune-up with the bleed-through block? Or the lipid or the hypertension, or of those three, what's the least we can get away with?
Tune-up.
Could that really help everything else? Okay, good. So start with that and give it how long?
Let's see. Erik says there's going to be some things that are going to be very noticeable within the first week, but he says in about 3 weeks' time, there's going to be some changes there. The other thing is, too, is there's he shows me a whole lot of abundance physically and like in other ways, too. He also shows in relationship.
Good. Well, what is that because of something in the past life that we'll deal with the tune-up?
Yeah, he says there's some experience from past life where she wasn't able to see the good in herself. He's talking about her power being taken away in a past life, and he's saying that this is connected to a relationship in the past. He's not saying this is the exact same people, because he's calling it like a relationship with somebody who says within like war, like some sort of a fighting type thing. But he says there was power that was taken away. And so what's coming in for her with the abundance is pride for herself.
Okay. Oh, awesome. All right, I'll let her know. All right, so that's awesome. Thank you, Erik, for that. Oh, that's going to help her a lot.
Good.
Okay, we got somebody from the 914 area code. Hi there, how you doing? Oopsie, I didn't click enough. Sorry. There we go. Now we got it.
Hello?
Hi there, how you doing?
Hello.
Okay, I wasn't sure it was me. Hi. Hi, Lisa, Erik, and Michelle. So glad to talk to you guys.
You too.
This is such an interesting show. I'll definitely have to re-listen.
Definitely.
Yeah.
and it's not unusual, I suppose. It's right in line with the chaos aspect, and things shaking out is in line with what's going on with my husband, who's battling cancer. And I wanted to ask Erik for guidance on. We've done the energy work, and the tune-up and the upgrade on that, and I just want to see what we can do next with Scalar. If anything else would be particularly helpful for him.
Well, what did we do
to help
for
him
him?
heal.
What did we did besides the tune-up?
Just the tune-up so far, but there are any number of things there.
Service.
No.
Okay, well, you know me. I want whatever's the cheapest, shortest route to success. So, Erik, I'm going to ask you, he's on low-dose naltrexone, right?
Yes, he is.
Okay, is that enough, or does he need something else, Erik?
He says he's going to need another tune-up.
Okay.
Because there's balance that's being restored for him. Is this cancer in his stomach region?
Yes.
Okay.
It was bile duct, and it spread, and it spread to a couple places.
Okay.
It's all gastric.
Okay. Because Erik's connecting it to fear, the energy of fear.
Okay.
And he's saying that that's being rebalanced. There's also he's being refilled with abundant energy because he shows me light being pushed into the stomach area. He's saying that this will be like a positive outcome for him, good outcome, and he calls him a teacher. He's a teacher. So for you, and there's other people. Do you have children? There's other people that he's giving like a lesson. He's showing a lesson with walking through this with.
We don't have kids, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's showing more than just me.
Yeah, he is. He is. It's so important. Erik says, hold that positivity, because that light is being pushed, and I can see it coming right around the belly button, and it's expanding on both sides. And that's what's pushing in. So he says, if you're going to do anything, and did you just have scalar work done like not too long ago?
Yeah, just within the last week or two.
Okay,
that
perfect.
Was yeah.
Okay, because he's saying
give him more time.
Wait a couple months before you do
that.
Okay.
Yeah, don't order another tune-up. It's too early. It really is. It might not be necessary. Okay, let me ask you a real quick question, Erik. Low-dose naltrexone has super amazing anti-tumor properties, but especially when given the very benign medication IV alpha lipoic acid, would that really, help significantly? Because there have been, and you can research it, reports that even very advanced stage pancreatic cancer completely cured with the combination of low-dose naltrexone and IV alpha lipoic acid. What do you think, Erik?
He says yes, and he's showing me. So it changes because he's saying the word alkaline.
Okay.
So, and he shows it like the visual that he gives me is he's showing that the low-dose naltrexone and whatever this other one is, it breaks down the cells of the tumor.
Does he need? Does he need the custom cancer service, or can we do without that?
Okay, hang on here. He says the cancer service, he says that one is a little more direct because there's a couple things on the other that he doesn't necessarily need, but he says this also depends on, and he says to check in again before you get it done, because this is part of why he was saying to really focus on the positivity and everything as well, because some of that fear would get reduced with having the other one done. So you may not need that.
What other one?
You may not need the cancer one. You may be able to have just the energy repair. Yeah, so
okay.
it's because that's
wait,
what it's energetically set up from.
All right, so wait and give the tune-up a chance. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So can any of you healers help him also? I mean, maybe it's best as it can be done remotely without his knowledge, because I'm getting that sense.
Is he not open to it?
Oh, he's very open. I do Reiki and emotion code myself, and so I've been working for him for a while.
Wonderful. Excellent.
And if I could just ask one quick follow-up here, then, given what Erik has said, we've also started an alternative protocol based on a book called How to Starve Cancer, and it uses diet changes and medicines that are known to be safe, that have anti-cancer properties, are used to, to supplement the chemo and whatnot. Is that a good path to be on?
Yes. Erik says that all of that is beneficial, and that's kind of why. But Erik says not kind of. That is why he says that we want to reassess before we decide what exactly to go with the scalar, because there's other things at play that you're working on that you may not need. So he says that let's revisit this again in about 8 weeks' time.
Does he need a past life reading and all? I mean, is some of the fear coming from that?
He says that some of it is, but he's just saying that what she is working on with the emotion code and some of her own healing is what's already helping that, because that's part of what his, and he's teaching you too, because there's experience that you're having with him with this, because Erik says there's a lot of learning that's coming out from the two of you. And I don't know if you're doing energy work or if you do this professionally or anything, but there's a new level coming to this because of what you're experiencing.
Brian, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I can absolutely accept that. Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited and relieved.
Yeah. That's great. Oh, well, lots of blessings to you.
Yes, of
Thank
course.
you, and to all of you. Oh, and Elisa, I'm so sorry about your father-in-law. Love to you and to your family.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you all.
Thank you, sweetie.
Thank you.
To all you guys, you know how I push low-dose naltrexone so hard. And so many people say, well, I don't want to push it on my vet. Or, well, my doctor's not going to do that. Screw that, okay? It's called the why not drug for a reason, because the safety aspects and are so amazing, and there's so few contraindications. It's like you can't be addicted to opiates. If you are, you have to possibly be on ultra low dose. Okay, you can have had an organ transplant, and if you have Hashimoto's, thyroiditis, you have to watch your thyroid, because it can make it so much better that you have to decrease your supplement. So please be the squeaky wheel. I mean, LDN experts say everyone, including animals, my Bella's on it, should be on low-dose naltrexone, okay? It is so important. I can't stress it enough, because it triples endorphin release. Endorphins are what stops inflammation, pathologic inflammation. And inflammation is the root of almost every disease. So, screw them. If they say, oh, we don't know anything about it, so no. Then Google, find an LDN doctor or find an LDN vet and get it by telemedicine, or they will also give you locals to get it from. So, this is often with LDN, I think people, it's a lesson in self-empowerment, of finding your voice, of being your own advocate or the advocate of a loved one, okay? I've had to be an advocate so many times for some of my relatives, like to snatch them from the jaws of death because of bad doctors, or whatever. I mean, please be strong and, put your foot down, okay? Put your foot down. No, you say no? Why are you saying no, okay? Is it because you don't want to get a big pharma upset? Is it because you don't know anything about it? Are you really going to go there? So, no, I can't stress enough. I mean, I've had so many people I've recommended to, and then they come back, well, she doesn't want to push it to the vet or whatever. I mean, no, hell no. Ugh. Oh, I'm sorry. I get upset about this. Okay, Eric, do you have anything to say about that?
Well, you know what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. All right, we got somebody from this 347 area code. Hi there, how you doing?
Hi.
Hi.
Me guys? Hi, girls.
Hi.
My name is Lindsay. I'm so honored to be talking to you guys again.
Oh, we're
My
honored.
question is, well, I'm a big CE member. I've been for a long time, so it's always nice to hear your. So my question for Erik and for you all is, my partner and I separated, and I've been using this time to focus on myself. So my question is, are we going to get back together, and is there a time frame that you can see if that's a yes?
What is your partner's first name?
Jason.
Jason, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Hang on a second.
Lindsay Jason. Okay.
I'm sorry. Your first name's Lindsay, right?
Yes.
The way Eric's saying it is, he says, it's taking steps. So, you guys are talking right now? Or no?
Yes, we are. Yeah, we are.
Okay, because what Erik is saying is, he says, okay, let me ask you one more question. Do you guys work together, or do you have common friends or something, or did you meet through work?
Yeah, we didn't meet through work, but we do work for the same company. So we kind of do things. We do things together through work functions. Sometimes.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, because that's what Erik is showing me. It's like through commonality. So it's like there's going to be natural steps to be taken, or that you're going to be able to take. Because Erik says there's a process that's unfolding. And he says, how we were talking tonight about there being like a rejuvenation, like we're all going into the next level. And part of your separating was for a rebuilding, but there's going to be like one step after another. He says it's not just going to happen all at once. And whatever it is, he's making some kind of changes, or some changes in his life or in his way of looking at things. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I've seen it a little bit, that he, for example, when we're together or we're talking about, I have some cats, he really relishes that time seeing me or seeing them more than when he before.
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah, because it's very interesting the way Erik says it, because it's like a different way of viewing things. It's like a different way of experiencing things. And I'm just asking Erik, why? Why is that happening? And he says, because he's shifting. His vibration is shifting. And so he's starting to open up and notice things that he didn't see before. And with this breakup, he wouldn't have been able to see that, because he says that, things start to get, he says, we start to miss the small things. We start to just look at, certain parts of our relationship, and we miss the things until we're apart. And then we come back together and we say, oh, I never appreciated that, or I really missed that. And we start to see it in a new light. He says it's kind of a breaking down to understand the way he's looking at it. But he says that's going to continue, but it's like working through some steps together.
Is his shift the reason they fell apart, and also the reason they'll get together again?
Both of them.
All right, so what is the lesson that this relationship is all about for both of them?
Well, he says there's kind of like he's calling it like a death and a rebirth, and this is their purpose together.
Oh,
so he says ultimately it's a peaceful reunion. So you will find a sense of peace with each other eventually. Yeah.
Wow. That pretty much sums up this whole relationship, because we've been together for years, like almost 20 years. So it just feel like a death and a rebirth.
Yes.
Did Erik mention a time frame? Even though I know it's a stepping stone process. Is there a time frame involved, or is it just?
He did say over this next year. Over this next year. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Lindsay, good luck to you. I feel hopeful.
Yeah. Good luck. Yeah.
Thank you.
Take care, Lindsay.
Call back. Yeah, please keep us posted, babe. I want to hear how I feel so positive about that person. All right, 734 area code. Hi there, how you doing?
Hello.
Hi there. What's up? How can we help you?
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. This is Margaret in Michigan. And
hi, Margaret.
Hi, Michelle. My heart goes out to your father-in-law and all the family.
Thank you so much. We'll be fine.
Moving on.
What can we do for you?
My middle son is an alcoholic, and I was wondering if Erik could tell me what happened in a previous life that caused him to be an alcoholic, and is there anything I can do to help him?
And also, I'd like to also add, please, Erik, ask rather, if there are any dark energies that are fueling his alcoholism, because that's so common.
I'm guessing there's not. He just sort of gradually worked his way into this.
All right, well, let's see. Erik, what do you have to say?
So what Erik is saying is that there is a past life, and I don't know if you could maybe figure out, or if you know what happened to him in this life that aligns with this, but Erik is saying that there's like an exchange that happened with him and another person. He's calling it like almost like bartering, but he was taken advantage of. So he had something taken from him. And Erik is gleaming this to be self-worth, but did he have a relationship where somebody turned their back on him? Or, like, is there somebody in his life that walked away from him?
Other than he got a divorce and he really loved his wife.
Oh.
She's the one that wanted a divorce.
Okay, did the alcohol happen after that point? Like, did it start to increase?
Wow, that's been a few years ago.
Okay, well, because Erik says it's betrayal. So in a past life, it was the energy of betrayal, and some of what he's experiencing is connected to that. That's not the only thing. He's also experiencing, Erik says, some doubt in himself, and there's worry. He has a lot of worry.
He does worry a lot.
Yes. And what Erik says is that the worry consumes him. And sometimes when we experience anxiety and worry about things, and it almost seems like it's not, like, where exactly is that coming from in this life? He says in the past life, when we experience something that was taken from us or something traumatic, he says that we can't always place exactly what it is, but it's like this sense of doom and not feeling like we're going to be able to get out of it, because that's the energy that he's giving me. What he says is there is also some denial in where he's at right now.
Yeah.
And so he says for you, in helping accept where he is right now, letting him know that it's okay where he is right now, because he's having a hard time accepting. And Erik says that's where denial comes from. It's not wanting to believe that there is a problem, and feeling like, admitting that there's a problem is letting other people down. as well, which adds to the worry. And he worries about you too.
Oh.
You know, he's concerned about you. Are you, like, have you been going through something? Is there anything that has been happening that's maybe adding to that? Are you going through something physically right now?
Oh, did we lose her?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. Well, hopefully she can still hear us. But Erik, what practical thing can help this guy? I mean, you know, with the main service for Atlanta Scalar, she did drop out. Let me see if I can see if she comes back. But hopefully she'll listen to this. But is the main service going to help? Because we had the you know,
Erik said yes. He said yes, but that's the way. The other thing is too is he says that he's creative. So to find something that he can express himself in, because he's an overthinker, like he's overthinking and overworrying. He says he needs to discharge some of that energy into something, whether that's, he says, actually one of the easiest things he could do is to go out and ride a bike.
Oh,
he goes, that would be a way of being able to help clear himself, to start feeling physically a little better. And he says that takes courage to do because he's not feeling that. He doesn't feel that energy. But he says that'll help him connect to something that he can start being creative with. Says, can he have the courage and tap in? And he says this is what Mom can help him with, to accept where he's at and help support him to take one step forward into feeling a little bit better.
Would the main service, the ERPE for Atlanta Scalar, be enough, and he would not need the addiction relief? Because Good.
Yes, but what Erik says is, you know, there's a big part of this right here where he really, truly has to believe in himself, that work would allow him to have the clarity to start to see hope.
Good. You know, us mothers, we want to take care of our babies. You know, I understand this mother's concern. I mean, we've never stopped worrying. Oh, goodness.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
All right, guys, I think we will close off for now. Again, I want to say with great sorrow that we will not have the radio show next Tuesday because I'll be in Norway. And I love you all. You guys, please look at it. Listen to this amazing hour that we've had with Michelle. I mean, she's spot on all the time. So y'all check her out at thehealing-art.com. And I love you all, and I will see you 2 weeks, or hear from you 2 weeks from now. Michelle, stay on if you can. I love you.
Okay, will do. Love you. Love you, everybody. Erik says love you. Bye.
Love you, Erik.
Love you, Mama.